Did you get some contacts done yesterday when you came in? Nice. Now, next time I'll keep a better eye out. I was facing away from the door, so I just completely missed you when you walked in.
Oh, no, you're right. It's either I work here or work at home, either way.
Yeah.
I was just trying to come in a little more often, just
Mhm.
in hopes of getting to know more of the people.
Yeah,
But it's pretty quiet in here, so, but either way, it just doesn't matter.
I think it takes time to, I mean, I know that was the first week of doing that, so I think sometimes people aren't quite sure what the event is on the calendar or if they should come, so hopefully over time more people will start to come.
Right. I just felt bad that like I couldn't get here at 9. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
just, like, and that's why I tried to let you know the day before, it's like, I can be here, I just can't get here at 9.
Yeah.
It's-
And that's fine, yeah, I mean, it's more of a window, you could come at 9 and leave at 10 or vice versa. And some Wednesdays we'll have the teen rallies right after, so that's good timing, that'll just roll right into that.
But yeah, it's just like the first Wednesday of every month, he has like a late start at his school, which is kind of weird. I guess it has something to do with lack of staffing or something, so they're trying to give like the teachers extra like,
They prepare.
or like not day of prepare, but like some extra like. I guess prepare time, but not a day of prepare time.
Huh,
So,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Does your son like that, or does he miss school those days?
He doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
He's 8, he doesn't, that's the other part that's kind of weird about it, is he's 8, so he doesn't.
Doesn't have as much of a opinion.
So, I mean, like, he doesn't have an opinion, does the teacher really need to do this, you know?
Yeah.
But he goes to a campus where it's like they do, and they go from like infants all the way through high school.
Oh,
So
That's
obviously
cool.
so they're probably doing that more for like the high school teachers or maybe the middle school teachers and stuff than they are like,
do they have
Right.
separate buildings for,
yeah.
but just one big campus?
So one big campus, but it's 3 different buildings.
That's cool, I haven't come across that before.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just kind of weird, you know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I'm assuming they're doing it for like the high schoolers more than
Yeah.
they're doing it for like him, you know what I mean? Because it's one big campus. Or the high school teachers,
Yeah,
not the,
and maybe it's easier with buses or things like that, just to cancel everyone then.
yeah, I mean, good conversations, you know, just not really anything that's ready now. Which is,
That's okay, I mean, it starts with the conversation.
Yeah.
And putting that bug in their ear.
Yeah.
So that's great.
I mean, a fairly productive one yesterday, I mean, just in the sense that. This lady that I work with, her daughter wants to buy a house. But just signed a 2-year lease.
Hmm.
I'm just like.
Long
A
time.
2-year lease is kind of weird, because I used to do leasing a long time ago,
Yeah.
like. And it's at an apartment, she's like, yeah, I'm like, 2 years, that's super weird. You
Did
know,
she say she was trying to save up money for the down payment? That's the only thing I could think of if the lease was cheaper.
well, then I was asking her about it, I was like, well, what was the price on the lease, since she went with it, and she was like, just under $2,000, and I was like, how big is the place? She's like, a 1-bedroom, and I'm like. What is going on, like, what did you?
Maybe she had signed the lease, maybe she didn't have.
Yeah, I was like, blown away, I'm like sitting there like. You really just need to give me your daughter's phone number, because it's like,
Yeah,
2-year lease, just under $2,000 a month, like. I'm sorry, I feel like you need to talk about her dog. If you went with her to help her, like,
Yeah.
there's not much guidance there, are you?
Well, that's good, you at least got in contact with the mom and hopefully. You can help. I think even with leasing, I think a lot of people, like the everyday consumer just doesn't know a lot of the info. So unfortunately, they don't realize.
Like, if these services signed a $2,000 a month lease. I feel bad for you.
Maybe there's some out that they gave her,
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm like, I'd like to read the lease just because I'm curious. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm trying to provide you any kind of advice, but I'm like,
You just say you're curious.
yeah, I did. I was like, you know, I'd love to like at least just read through it real quick, just because I'm curious.
Morning, Megan.
Hi, good morning. It's nice to finally meet you.
You too, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, awesome. We'll just give it another minute or so for a few more people to join. Hi, Diane. Hi, Evan.
There you are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Scott here in the room as well. You should be able to see him on the small screen.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. On the TV, my initials are backwards.
Yeah. I was like, what? Oh,
It's correct on my screen. That's funny though. Maybe I must have it mirrored on my screen. Or maybe it's mirrored on the TV. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Megan and Evan, if y'all don't mind turning on your cameras, that would be great. And for everyone on Zoom, if you have any questions as we're going through, just feel free to speak up, or you can also put it in the chat as well. Whoops. Okay, so today we're going to go through how to get clients through Instagram. So we're going to go through my system of reaching new people, connecting with your sphere, and getting clients from Instagram. So let me actually move this control bar down real quick. There we go. Okay, so let's start with optimizing your Instagram. So you can do this. So this class focuses on specifically Instagram, but you can do this with every platform. So with Instagram, don't create two separate accounts for personal versus business. You'll likely struggle to keep up with both, and they won't be as valuable and successful separate as they can be together. And we'll discuss later today on how to balance sharing personal content on your one business account, because I know that is something people a lot of times have questions about. But just know that it's a better use of your time, energy, and efforts to just have one account that you post everything on. The next thing is to make your Instagram account public for lead gen through Instagram. And as a professional, you should be visible and transparent. So this goes for everything that you have online, not just Instagram. It's great to have some information available to the public. Just noticed we had a chat. Yeah, that's your question.
so my question is I know with Command, you have to tie it to a business account. You cannot tie it to your personal.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of struggling with that. So if we can kind of talk about that at some point later on, I'd appreciate it.
Mhm. Yeah, so for example, I have my personal Facebook account, and then I created a business page, and then I linked that business page to my Instagram so that I could have all of the Instagram analytics. That being said, I don't do much on my Facebook business page because it doesn't have as much of a reach as my personal Facebook or my Instagram. So I essentially use it as kind of like a online business card. I think I will occasionally share a post from my Instagram directly to it, but I don't do it that often. So Facebook is the one platform where you can't only have one account or one page if you want to make your Instagram a business Instagram, which I do recommend. So that's the one platform that I would just create a business page and you can use it. And I think your chat mentioned add through command. So you can use it to run ads through command and then use it to have that business Instagram as well. Is
Okay.
that a question?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. And then the last thing to optimize your Instagram is to connect your Instagram to your phone contact list and follow everyone. And each time you add someone to command or to your database, add them on Instagram too. So you can connect your phone contact list right when you create your account and then periodically and make sure you're keeping up to date with all of the contacts that you're adding to your phone. If you don't have their phone number, you can search their name on Instagram. And if you're not able to find them, I would not worry. I would just continue over time to try to get more contact information from them. Ideally, in the end, you'll have their phone, email, social media, and anything else where you can contact them in a variety of ways and make a bigger impact. Any questions about optimizing your Instagram? No? Okay. So now let's go over being purposeful by having a conversation. So even if you provide your contact info on your Instagram profile, people will often still DM you because it's easier and less pressure for them than calling or emailing you. So meet your client where they are. If they want to start the conversation via DM, meet them there and continue to nurture them there until you can get more information, such as their phone number or email. So for me personally, my DMs are the most active area of my Instagram, and that's okay because it still counts as a conversation. Those conversations are from people responding to my stories, from me responding to their stories, and then also just random DMs that either they send me or that I send them that aren't tied to a specific post. And then here are a few conversation starters if you're not sure where to start. One is asking them what type of content you want to see from me, and then you could give an example like home buying info or current market stats. You could also do this as a poll on your Instagram. However, it's great to also send this directly to people. Another one is this reminded me of you, so you can you can either share one of your posts to them, you could DM that post directly to them and then send them back to your post, or you could go find a random post on Instagram and send that to them. So for example, if someone really likes hiking, you could go find a photo of a trail nearby and just DM that to them and say it reminded me of you. And you can find those posts either by people that you follow or through hashtags. And then lastly, another one is if they are active in posting, you could say something like, I saw your post about your cat. She's so cute. How old is she again? So I always recommend including some sort of question to keep the conversation going instead of saying something like, I love your cat. It's great to continue the conversation as much as possible because it just further connects you to that person. So if they are active, I highly recommend DMing them and responding to their stories as much as possible. Any questions about having conversations? No? Okay. Now let's go over converting to appointments. So no matter how informally someone reaches out to you, answer them, provide value, and continue the conversation until it feels appropriate to ask for the appointment. So like I said earlier, meet them where they are and provide value. And then over time, you can nurture them enough where it feels very comfortable to push them to a phone call, Zoom meeting, or in person. So there isn't an exact science to asking for the appointment. Here are 2 cues that I follow. The first is that when the messages start to get long and it'll be easier to talk versus type. So a lot of people within my sphere that were reaching out via DMs were starting to ask questions about the home buying process. And I would typically answer their initial question, give them some information, and then they could see that I had sent a long message. So it felt very natural to then move it to a phone call and just let them know that I can answer their question with more details. And then the second is that they start talking about criteria, and it would be helpful to walk them through the MLS criteria and results. This is another thing that people often DM me is the type of house that they're looking for. So it's great to either schedule a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting where you can share your screen and walk them through that. And this is great for setting expectations when it comes to the market as well. So I've had this happen before where it was a first-time home buyer, and the criteria they were giving me, we wouldn't have been able to find a good home that matched all their criteria within their budget. So what I did is I shared my screen, I entered all that info into the MLS, and then I think maybe one property showed up and it was a tear down. So I was able to show him the data and that his, nicely that his criteria was not good. And then we were able to slowly widen the criteria in terms of what he wanted and the location. And then once we got a good pool of available homes, then he felt good and I felt good about that criteria and moving forward. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, any questions about converting to appointments? So now let's go.
I have a quick question, Bria. I apologize. So what does your response look like when you get a message from someone who says they're looking to buy in the next year or two? Is that something that you continue to cultivate, or are you actively trying to convert them into appointment right then and there?
I'm at least actively trying to convert them to a phone call with that initial pre-qualifying script. I might not even try to convert them to an in-person meeting, but I think the phone call is great because you can get to know a bit more about their situation, and if they have anything they need to work on, like for example, the credit score, or if they have a lot of questions about a certain aspect of the process, you can make sure that you're nurturing them in that way. So if someone reaches out with, I would consider that more of like a purposeful message, like they are absolutely looking to buy and they have given you a time frame, I would convert that to an appointment. If it's more of like a generic question or a vague one, then I would start to nurture them before you push them to the phone. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, so now let's go over completing your daily engagement plan. So this is probably the most important slide of all of today. This is really how you can have conversations and complete this activity and social media as your weekend activity every day. So the first thing to do is to respond to every DM and comment with 4+ words. So when I get on Instagram each morning or whenever I'm sitting down to complete my plan, I first respond to all of the messages or comments I've gotten previously. I say 4+ words because you're trying to continue the conversation as much as possible. So I don't want you to say something like, thank you. I want you to try to expand on that, maybe ask a question back if you can and continue the conversation. The next thing is to DM 10 people a conversation starter. So one of the ones we went over earlier. These can be people you're already connected with or new people. It's up to you. The third is to leave 10 relevant and meaningful comments on people's videos and stories. So again, these can be people that you already know, or you can go and find new people. For me, my database is pretty active on Instagram, so I can typically find 10 people to DM and 10 posts to leave comments on from people that I already follow. However, if you're just starting out and you're not following that many people, I would start to follow more people so you have more accounts to engage with. And to find more people to follow, I would search anything related to your 3 buckets, which we'll go over later. And then the last thing is to, if you haven't already reached out to new people, to look through relevant hashtags and leave 5 comments and follow 5 new people. And like I said, to find those people, you can search anything related to your buckets. So we'll go over that, and that's involving mixing personal and business content. So any questions about your daily engagement plan?
Yes. So I have an Instagram account and I try to stay pretty active on it. But what I notice is most of the people that I'm following or that follow me are not in what I would consider my farm area. They're not even in Colorado. So I'm having a little difficult time trying to figure out how to make Instagram, which seems to be very global, very local for me. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, so I wouldn't discount those people because they can still be sources of referrals, so I would continue to comment on their posts and DM them. However, yes, I think it's great to connect with local people, so I would really focus on then searching through hashtags related to your personal buckets, which we'll go over in a bit, and to find people that have things in common with you in Colorado. So I would search through hashtag, also ones that involve Colorado in the hashtag would be great. So I would really focus on pushing your, or actively searching for those people. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so now let's go over being purposeful with lead gen through Instagram. So I want y'all to treat it like you do more traditional lead gen methods like cold calling and door knocking. So like with traditional lead gen methods, your goal is to have conversations and convert to appointments. I hear this often because social media is relatively new, especially as a lead gen method, and it just feels so different than cold calling or open houses or more traditional things. So I want y'all to keep this in mind that while it does involve some marketing with the posts that you're making, to be really purposeful and treat it like lead gen, you need to be trying to have conversations. And the daily engagement plan that we just went over, that is the easiest and best way to make sure you're having conversations every day or however often you do that. And then as you get more of their info, add them to command and update it. So just make sure you're updating your database so you can reach them through smart plans that involve email and other activities. And then time block for your daily engagement plan. I typically do it in the morning first thing, and it takes me maybe 15-20 minutes, sometimes 30, depending on how many things I comment on in DM, but you can really get it done in 15 to 20 minutes. And then time block to create and schedule your videos for the next week as well. I typically do this on the weekends, on Sundays, and I just spend a few hours filming, doing captions and all of those things, which we'll discuss a little bit later. Did anyone have any questions about being purposeful? Okay, so now let's go over posting content. So let's start with how often. So I've seen people say to post once per day. However, I found that to be unrealistic for me personally. I aim for four short videos and 3 story videos per week. So on Instagram, that's 4 reels and then 3 story videos. I am not perfect, so I don't always reach that number. However, that's what I aim for and what I've noticed that really gets the best results. So I want you to think about how often you can post and that how often you can be consistent with it. So if you want to start with 1 or maybe 2 posts per week, you can, and maybe over time you can increase that, but I would just focus on getting content out there and starting to build consistency. And as you start the time block creating content as well, that will help you be more consistent. And then when it comes to when, so aim to post 2 hours before your most active days and times. So you can find this by, you can Google it, and Instagram has a tutorial, but if you're able to do it right now, you can, and you do have to have a Instagram business profile to do this. You'll go to your insights and then followers and then the active times and then the days and hours. And this shows you when they're most active on Instagram. So for me, I found that that's typically 3 o'clock. So I post 2 hours before that at 1 p.m. And what's interesting is while it fluctuates a little bit day to day, it's typically 3 p.m. at least on mine for every day. So I just pick 1 p.m. for all of my posts, and as you're starting to create content ahead of time, you can schedule it out. However, when you're creating content to start, if you finish something, say at 5 p.m. and you want to post it, I wouldn't let the timing hold you back. Just go ahead and post it. And as you're starting to apply systems to lead gen through social media later, then you can come back and really pick the specific time. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. And then lastly, it doesn't matter what the best time to post is, so you never, if you never post, so don't overthink it. That really comes into play with all of the details we're going to be discussing today. I get a lot of questions about the details, so I like to get the answer. However, I don't want the details to hold y'all back from posting or having conversations. Any questions about posting content? Okay, so now let's go where to post. So we'll only go over where to post. So while we'll only focus on Instagram this class, you can apply this system to other platforms like Facebook and TikTok. If you add one other platform, I recommend adding Facebook because it links with Instagram, as we discussed earlier. My main platforms are Instagram and YouTube, and then I also share things on Facebook and TikTok. However, everything I share on Facebook and TikTok is something I've already posted on Instagram. And sometimes I'll post something on Instagram and never share it. So I think it's great to pick 1 to 2 platforms to really focus on and make sure you're getting posts up and having conversations through those, and don't feel like you have to be on every single platform out there. And then the main content on Instagram is short vertical videos called Reels and story videos. While there are other things like you can post static photos or static stories, videos are super popular right now. The algorithm is pushing them out more and they better convert your ideal client. So I want y'all to try to focus on Reels and story videos with the content you're posting. Any questions about this slide? Okay. So now let's go into Reels and story videos a little bit more. So if your main goal on Instagram is to meet new people, focus on Reels. So as I mentioned, the algorithm likes Reels and video content. So they are more likely to push your video content out to more people versus your static content. So while you are trying to reach your ideal client, you do have to make the algorithm happy since you are using this platform to lead gen. So the easiest way to make them happy is to focus on video content. And then that being said, a good place to start with video is your story because it'll be gone in one day unless you highlight it to your profile. So if you're really nervous, you can start by posting a story video, and I would maybe post 1 or 2 of those, work out all the kinks, and then post your next one as a reel. And then with story videos, I recommend following it with a text graphic or photo with a summary of what you said for people who can't turn up their volume. There's always someone that may be in a public place or somewhere else where they can't turn up their volume, so it's great to include a summary. You could include the summary just as text on the video, or you could do it after. It really doesn't matter. And then when you're posting reels, you can either include the text on the reel or in the caption. So while video is the best type of content and it'll engage the most amount of people, there's always maybe someone that can't watch it right in that moment. So you can at least give them a sneak peek and maybe they can save it and come back to it later. And then lastly, prioritize reels and story videos of yourself over videos of other things. I found that content with my face in it does the best. What's really interesting is I even tested it against content with other people in it, and I found that for me, the content that does the best is where it's mainly my face and it takes up most of the screen versus further away or other people in the screen. So I know it can be nerve-wracking to put your face on social media a lot. However, you can test the content and I would be very surprised if you have different results from me. You will probably see that reels and story videos of yourself do a lot better than other things. This doesn't mean that you never do videos of other things. This just means that more than 50% of them should have your face in them. Any questions about this slide? Okay, so now let's go over the 3 buckets. So if you were in my class previously, we went through this last time. However, I love to go over this every class because I think it's one of the most important slides and things. So this is the system I use to balance posting personal and business content. So you'll start with 1 bucket of which is related to your profession. So mine is non-traditional real estate agent coach. Yours will likely be real estate agent. And then the other 2 buckets should be aspects of your personal life you want to post on Instagram. So mine are adventure seeker and cat mom. So adventure seeker is the hikes and the traveling that I do, and then cat mom is my 2 cats. Other examples are dog mom, foodie, if you love exercise, if you want to share your kids. Diane, I think you knit maybe or something like that, so that would be a great one too. So you don't have to post any part of your life you don't want to, so don't pick personal aspects that will make you feel drained to do so or unsafe. I know it can be a little nerve-wracking sharing personal content on a public profile. However, I don't want you to pick anything that makes you feel like you're compromising your safety. So for example, say you have kids and you don't want to post them on social media, that's completely fine. You don't ever have to post about them. Also, these things should be ones your clients can share or relate to you about. You want to build a community of like-minded people who will be current and future clients and referral sources. So Diane, this is what I was talking about when I mentioned searching hashtags and trying to find people related to your personal buckets. So for me, for example, I might search a hashtag Colorado hikes because that relates to my adventure seeker bucket and try to find people that are going on hikes in Colorado. And then just to expand a little bit on picking personal aspects to share. So for example, I also love to read for fun and I almost picked that as one of my buckets. However, I ultimately decided that since that's something I do to relax and unwind a lot, I wanted to keep that private. And it's not a negative thing. I think reading is great. However, that's just something I don't choose to share on my social media. So I don't want you to feel like if you're not sharing something, it's negative or you're trying to hide it. This is really just giving you a structure to make it easy to post personal content on Instagram. So I want you to use one per video and rotate through them. So you'll have 1/3 of your content be your real estate agent bucket, and then the other 2/3 will make up your 2 personal buckets. So you don't have to follow this perfectly, but if you go look at my Instagram, you can see I typically rotate through these pretty well, just depending on what's going on in my life. So any questions about your 3 buckets? No, does anyone want to share what they're thinking for their personal buckets?
I actually do have a question. I'm just like, I'm new to all this. I still haven't even taken my test yet. But as far as like your Instagram, if you like, do you recommend like, I've had like my Instagram since I was like in high school. So like, do you recommend like kind of like deleting posts from like years ago, or should you like, do you recommend like keeping that stuff just so like people can see like kind of like follow you throughout like the life, like your life or stuff like that? Like, I don't know, like what do you recommend as far as if you had your Instagram profile for like a few years now as just like personal?
Yeah, it's up to you. I think it's completely fine to leave it up there. I would maybe go skim through everything and make sure there's nothing that you want to keep private now that you're becoming an agent. And you could delete that, or you can also just hide it, I think, without deleting it. If you want to delete everything, I think that's fine. I think a lot of people start fresh when they start in real estate. And I would just, if you do delete everything, I would maybe at least post a few real estate related posts first, so you have something up there before you delete them. But I think it's completely fine to leave those posts up there. It's just your call in terms of safety and how comfortable you feel sharing that past info. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? Okay, does anyone want to share what their thoughts are for their 3 buckets?
Sure. Real estate. And I don't know if this is acceptable. But on my other 2 buckets, I have one bucket that's kind of split between quilting and knitting. And then on my 3rd bucket, it's dog mom and cooking.
Awesome. Yeah, if you have 4 buckets, that's completely fine. I don't want you to feel like you have to follow this perfectly. And maybe over time you might find that you do want to narrow it down to 3, but I think it's absolutely fine to test content and see what resonates with people. Anyone else want to share? Scott, do you have any thoughts?
So I mean, mine, I've had these buckets for a while, but it's obviously real estate, family stuff, hiking, and then probably my dog.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you mentioned that previously. You filmed a video walking your dog. Is that correct?
Yeah,
and posted it. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, pets are always great. People always, my cat posts always get a lot of likes from people. Anyone else? Megan, do you have any thoughts?
I was thinking definitely posting. I just got a puppy a couple months ago, so I think that would be a good way to reel people in because he's really cute. And then I don't know, I'm still trying to think of like third bucket, probably like family, because that's what my page is a lot right now is family and like skiing, but that's kind of only a seasonal thing. So maybe just like skiing during the winter months and then like hiking and other outdoor things during like the summertime. This is kind of what I'm thinking right now, but yeah.
Yeah, outdoor activities are great, especially in Colorado. There are so many things to do. Yeah, and then Evan, I know you're sick, but did you want to share or maybe put it in the chat?
Can you hear me today?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yay. Okay, perfect. I don't know. This will be tough. I kind of got off of social media for like 2 years, and I just got back on when I got my real estate license like a while back. So I have 6 children, so you know my family, but I'm not really big on wanting to share my children lately on social media. So I'm a huge Nuggets fan, and I go to a lot of Denver Nuggets games, but I know that's also like seasonal stuff. I have a cat and a dog too, so I could share my pets, definitely.
Yeah, those are some good ones. And yeah, like I said earlier, you definitely don't have to share your kids or anything else that you don't want to. I think that's completely fine. And I don't think anyone's really gonna notice that you're not posting them or comment on them. So awesome. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Okay, so now here are a few ideas for your real estate agent buckets. So the first is home buying or selling info, market info, and FAQs or frequently asked questions. Educational content is great to lean on, especially as an agent. And then the second is listing, closing, videos of clients and testimonials. So with listings, it does not have to be your listing. This can be any listing or any open house. I would ask the listing agent permission before selling. However, I don't want you to feel like you have to have a listing to start posting other listings. And then when it comes to testimonials, if you don't have any past clients yet, you can get testimonials from people from your previous job or other people in your sphere. You would also just talk more about the emotional side of real estate, like the potential of building wealth, expanding your family, things like that. So you could, testimonials are great because they're typically more emotionally focused and can appeal to people in that way. So if you don't have past clients to lean on, you can definitely just speak about it in more general terms. The third is conventions, designations, classes, and books. When I started out as an agent, I shared every class I attended because I was super nervous and not confident, and I wanted people to know that I was investing in my education and trying to be the best agent possible. So every time you come into the market center, go to class, read a book, anything like that, I would share that on your Instagram. The fourth is industries related to real estate, like interior design, home improvement, or anything that takes place in or around the house, like landscaping, for example. And then the last thing is any emails you get from vendors, like lenders with good info that you can summarize. So I think I've brought this up before. Mitch, the in-house lender in our market center, sends a lot of really great emails. And when you become an agent, you'll start to notice you get put on a lot of email lists with vendors trying to get your service. However, the ones that have really great emails typically include some sort of information aspect. So I would just take their email and either take one paragraph or one sentence and maybe put it into your own words if you feel like you need to, and then film the video on that. I think it's completely fine to lean on vendors and third-party sources as you're getting started. And even if you didn't know the info ahead of time, reading the email and then taking the time to film that video will help you learn that info better and retain it. So any questions about these ideas?
I don't have a question, but I actually just thought of what I could also share on my personal. I craft a lot, so like I make earrings and I paint things and stuff like that. So just thought about that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, that's similar to Diane's at knitting and quilting. So yeah, that's great. Okay, any questions? Okay, so overall, your 3 buckets remove some of the thinking, guesswork, and energy of posting videos. So now you have a structure in terms of what business and personal content you're going to post and how much of it. So I hope this removes some of the stress of posting on Instagram. And then next, we're gonna go over the 3 pillars, which ensure that your videos provide value to your ideal client. So the 3 pillars to frame around are educational, inspirational, and entertaining. An example of educational is 5 steps to prepare to buy a home. And this is my favorite category because the everyday consumer does not know a lot about real estate or the process of buying or selling. So this is a way that you can better learn this info, share it with them, and then position yourself as the expert. The second, an example of inspirational is a client testimonial with an emotional focus. Again, like I said, if you don't have a testimonial, you can just speak about real estate in general, like wealth building or building a family. And then an example of entertaining is a wacky home. With this category, focus on homes and inanimate objects, not on your clients. Even if it's not relevant to any of them, if they see it, they'll think it could be them. So I tend to stay away from this pillar just because it's not really it doesn't come as easily to me as educational and inspirational. However, when I do post something that's maybe more entertaining, I make sure it's appropriate and it's not making fun of anyone or that it has the potential to hurt someone's feelings. So use 1 per video to provide value to your client. So you don't have to rotate through all of these. You could pick 1 or maybe 2 and just focus on those. And like I mentioned, educational is a great one. So if you don't know where to start, I would start with educational info. So any questions about the 3 pillars? So now let's go over best practices. So prioritize video over photo. Like I mentioned earlier, Instagram prefers video because it keeps more people on the platform for longer, which means they'll push your video content out to more and new people. Also, video better converts to appointments because they get to know you and connect with you more. So the 2 most impactful forms of communication are in-person communication and video communication. So it's great to incorporate these in your lead gen methods. So if you are choosing to do lead gen through social media, I highly recommend focusing on video content because you'll have better results with less work over time. And then never let taking videos get in the way of providing exceptional service to your clients, especially during showings. It's a good practice to arrive at showings early before your client, and this is a great time to take videos. So you don't ever have to take videos while you're out doing showings, but say you wanted to grab a quick clip of the kitchen, for example, I would arrive early, do that and get it done with so that once your client arrives, you're ready, you can give all of your attention. So any questions about best practices? Okay. Now, please keep in mind that you're not too late to get on Instagram, whether you're already on it and not using it for business use or you're not on it at all. It's never too late. More people are joining Instagram every day, and I don't know how many people are on it, but I'm guessing it's in the billions or at least 5 million. So you will be able to reach more and new people through Instagram, no matter when you join or when you start posting. Second, you don't have to spend a lot of time on editing your videos. So typically, any small mistakes I make, I just leave those in. And then if I make a big mistake, maybe I'll edit that out. But typically, if I make a really big mistake, that throws me off so much and I just end up restarting it. So just don't spend a lot of time on editing, and know that when you include those small mistakes, it makes people connect with you more, because no one really wants to see someone who looks perfect and looks like they have their entire life together. The next is, it's okay to be nervous about putting yourself out there, and this comes into play with every lead gen method, not just social media and video. It's completely okay to be nervous, and I would love for y'all to take action anyways, and just know that you'll improve over time and it'll become more natural and comfortable and less nervous. Next, you don't have to have a lot of followers or likes to be successful. The likes really don't matter. If you're looking at anything, you can look at views, but it really doesn't matter, because a lot of people will see things and notice it and yet never like or comment on it, so you really don't know what's going on with those people you can't see. And then when it comes to followers, it's the same thing with your database. You don't have to have thousands of people in your database. You can have a small one of people that are great clients and referral sources and build a really great business off them. The next is you don't have to be perfect. So I kind of already said this, but no one likes to see perfect people, and it just makes you more human. It makes people connect with you more and at a deeper level. And then lastly, you don't have to post your first take and you don't have to film it in one take. Part of the reason I love video so much is because I can do it, at home alone in my safe space. And if I make a huge mistake, no one is there to see it. So sometimes I will film in multiple takes, or edit it after and then post it. And it's still a great way to regenerate and has an impact on people and on communication. So any questions about these things? No. Any thoughts? Has anyone felt like one of these before? These are the most common things I hear from people when they're nervous to get started on Instagram.
I need to get over how many times it takes me to get a single video. And I remember something. It's very difficult for me to type on my phone and to edit on my phone. How do you do all of your editing on your phone, or how do you do it?
That's a good question. With story videos, I typically will just edit the very beginning of the video and end, because that's when I'm like pressing play. And then I try to film in 1, 2, or 3 takes. I found that when I have to go beyond 3, I typically get frustrated and then it just gets even worse. So I try to, and what helps me is to write down at least an outline of my script to help me keep on track. And then I do leave when I stumble over words or small mistakes in as well. And then when it comes to Reels, I use Canva to edit, which is a free, they have a free version, it's a third party app, and you can use it on the computer. I do a little more edits now than I used to. However, you can start by doing really basic editing on Canva. Does that answer your question?
You can edit a video on Canva.
On Canva? Mhm.
Mind blown. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you just, it's kind of like iMovie where you can split the clips up. So sometimes if I have a big mistake, I'll split the clip and then just kind of take it out. And then I'll add like captions sometimes or things like that. You definitely don't have to do those things when you start out. You could just do it right on your phone. However, if you do want to make some small edits, Canva is a great thing to start with. So any other questions?
Videos, there it is. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so now let's go over some of the details. Okay, there we go. So the first is to edit out any big mistakes and leave in small ones. So we kind of talked about this. A great third-party editor that's free is Canva. And then when uploading your reel, add a caption, hashtags, music, and location. And then we'll break down each of these. So with the caption, think of it as expanding on your video. An outline to follow is 6 paragraphs, with paragraph 1 being the intro and sentence to capture their attention. Paragraphs 2 through 5, the bucket and pillar that the post involves, and then 6, the CTA, which we'll go over in a second, and the outro. That being said, I don't want captions to hold all back. I know they can be hard to write, and for me, the caption is actually usually the hardest thing to write. So occasionally I'll just include like 1 or 2 sentences as the caption, and I think that's completely fine. I think it's more important to make the post and put it out there and not worry too much about the caption. However, as you get more used to posting content on social media and Instagram, if you want to follow this outline, you definitely can. Any questions about the caption? Okay, and then with the CTA or call to action, think of what simple, easy action someone can take to engage with your video is. Here are good CTAs for each format. So with story videos, good ones are respond to this story and watch my story highlight. The easiest action for them to take when they're watching your story is to respond to the story. And I think that's a great one because it starts a conversation in your DMs. And then good CTAs for Reels are follow me and share this video. So as I mentioned before, Reels are being pushed out a lot by Instagram to more and new people. So those people may not be already following you. And then if they are willing to share the video, then you could get in front of their followers and their database as well. So I like to always include a CTA in each of my posts to ask for some sort of action. And this just helps your engagement stay as high as possible, which helps the algorithm like you more and you have more conversations. Any questions about CTAs? Okay, and then with hashtags, so Instagram allows 30, so use all of the 30 allowed. You can create just one bank of hashtags, like for example, I have some generic hashtags that just talk about me being a realtor, a coach, and then my location and Keller Williams. And in my real estate posts, I often just copy paste those same 30 hashtags in. With my personal posts, they vary somewhat, but I still have maybe 15 hiking related hashtags that I use for every hiking post. So I don't want you to feel like you have to go find a bunch of hashtags every post you make. You can just do this once and save them as a note in your phone. So you can find the hashtags by searching on Instagram under the hashtags section. And I recommend using a mix of categories and combining them. So for example, starting with realtor, you could then combine that with the location. So Denver realtor, you could then combine that with your brokerage, Keller Williams realtor, and then you could combine that, say it's a luxury home or you're wanting to work with luxury clients, you could say luxury realtor. So that's what I mean by combining them and using maybe 1 or 2 ideas to come up with 30 hashtags. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, and then one slide, DM it to people or type them in the comments. So this is one of the conversation starters we went over earlier. So anyone who's interested in real estate or that is interested in one of your personal buckets, I highly recommend directly DMing them or tagging them in the comments to make sure that they see it and have a conversation about your post. So as I mentioned earlier, with all of these details, don't let these hold you back. What's most important is just to film videos and post them and have conversations. Any questions about these details? Oh, and that was the last slide. So let me stop the share. Whoops. Okay, awesome. Any final questions or thoughts? We went through that pretty fast, so we have some extra time if anyone wants to talk through anything. Don't have any, Diane, Megan, or, oh, go ahead.
I think it was very good. I've heard some of these things, probably not enough because I'm still learning every time I go through this. And I've started using Canva more. So I'm going to be very interested to take my videos and try to edit them, because trying to edit on the phone is driving me nuts and I just can't do it. I can't even type on my phone, let's be honest. So anything that I can do on a desktop, I'm good. So
Yeah, I found that video editing is easier on the desktop. Canva has an app, but even with the app, I can't really do edits on it that easily. So it just takes time to do it on the desktop. And yeah, I would maybe Google like Canva. I'm sure they have a bunch of tutorials on how to edit. They're a really great platform. So I would look at it and they can help.
so cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or thoughts? Does anyone have any action items from this class they want to work on in a week or so? Diane, why are you laughing?
I always have a ton of action items, but I put them with all the other action items and I'm still trying to action item into the action item list. It was on my GPS. It's supposed to be my focus and I really need to give it the focus that it needs. So we're going to go for it again.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'd love for everyone to share maybe 1 or 2 action items or their one thing that they're gonna focus on these next couple weeks involving Instagram. So Diane, you wanna go first since you're still unmuted?
I want to get my time blocking down. And I like the idea of the weekend, because what ends up happening is I don't feel like I'm not put together enough to film a video during the weeks. So I think maybe the weekend would be better on that. So I've got videos and getting my time block done. So I want to at least get 2 videos done this weekend, and I want to get time blocking done for next week.
Awesome. Okay, and then Megan, I think I saw you had unmuted. Do you want to share?
Yeah, I guess like I've just been waiting till I pass my exams before I like post anything on my Instagram because I don't want to jinx myself. But I guess I just have like 1 unit left of the Kaplan course to do, so I'm hoping to finish that today and tomorrow. And then I was talking to Charles and he said like study for like 2 days, and so I was planning on studying next week and hopefully taking and passing my test next week, maybe like end of next week. But I'm just like been thinking about like how I want to post it on my Instagram, but I think I'm just like excited to be able to post kind of like my story, because like I went to nursing school and like I've just graduated last year and I've been a nurse and I'm still like kind of part-time nurse-ish. But I think like I have a lot of like friends on Instagram and like people I've known that are still in the state like from high school and stuff like that. So I'm trying to like prepare like kind of like just posting my story and just I don't know. I'm kind of going like kind of the inspirational route of like, just because you went to college, like we're young, like you can still change career paths at any point, and like hopefully like inspire the people that like were kind of like pushed into a career that they wasn't so sure about, like me, and then figuring out like you can still change and there's no pressure. And so I'm kind of like gonna post, I'm thinking about posting that my first post and then getting myself out there as like, hey y'all, remember me from high school? If you need to buy a house, I'm here. So, but yeah, I've just been waiting to like do anything like that because like I said, I don't want to jinx myself and be like, hit me up, I'm a real estate agent, but like in a couple weeks, and then it's like, oh, so, but I'm still trying to stay confident that like I will pass the first time. But yeah, so that's kind of what my plan is for like the next couple weeks is pass, get it everything, and then start like marketing myself on my Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that inspirational route. That's what happened to me too. I went to college, was going down a certain path and then did a complete 180. And I think a lot of people find real estate that way, so that's great. And you could, to get kind of prepped these next couple of weeks when you're not studying, you could maybe make sure you're following everyone you know and maybe go back through your old posts like you were talking about and make sure those are okay. So you kind of do, like you were saying, some of the prep work. So once you get licensed, you can make that first post right away. Awesome.
You just clear. There's not like anything bad on my Instagram, but just clean up like some of the old high school cringy selfies. Like, nobody needs to see that anymore.
Yeah, everyone has those. Yeah. And then Evan, do you want to share what your action item is?
I definitely need to work more on my social media, like adding friends that I used to have and following more people and stuff. Because like I told you, I really don't care about social media. I don't get on there very often. I might get on and like a few things here and there, but working on building my platform again, I think is a big goal for me.
Yeah, like I said with Megan, first.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying time blocking, like Diane said too. It's not like I'm super busy all day. I am with kids, but I'm saying like making time to find when I can do these things, like when I have help with the kids and stuff like that. So time blocking and rebuilding like my social media platform.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, like I said with Megan, a great first step is to make sure you've added everyone and just get your profiles really optimized. And then I've been hearing a lot, like Scott, you mentioned before, you want to work on time blocking more. So I think it's great with all of your activities, especially your lead generation activities, to try to time block those and get on a schedule, because that's really the first step to getting clients and finding success as an agent. And then lastly, Scott, what's your action item?
I think for me, I guess I need to explore Canva I've been posting on Instagram/Facebook. I guess they're kind of tied together. So when I post on Instagram, I post to
Yeah.
Facebook, but maybe Canva would help jazz up some of the video which I'm recording. Especially when I'm talking real estate, I feel very monotone and not very, I don't know.
Yeah, I felt that way before too, with some of the educational.
Like I felt like I was just giving like facts and figures. I was like, okay, thanks, bye. You know, and then.
Yeah. Yeah, so a little editing can make things look, nice and more exciting. I try not to get lost in it, but Canva is great. And so what I do with my editing is I figured out kind of what format works for me. And now that I know that, I kind of edit every video in the same way. I pretty much just put a screen at the start and then a screen at the end. And the one at the end is my CPA, like follow me for more adventures. And then sometimes I'll put captions, but because I have that system down, I can do the edits in like 3 minutes and it goes really fast. So I don't want y'all to get lost in these details. However, yes, Canva is great and definitely worth exploring a little bit. So any final thoughts or questions before I let y'all go?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Like, would it be like okay if like your friends like also repost like your videos, like to kind of like gear towards, because I feel like, every time, I don't know, I have my friends always like repost stuff and like they're really like supportive of me. So like if I post like my video, is it okay for them to also like repost it like on their own page to like, follow my friend for more information, like stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but anytime someone else shares your video, it pushes out to all of their followers who maybe you're not connected with. So I think that's a really great call to action or anything to, or something to strive for. So if they're willing to do that, I would absolutely ask them or let them do that. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Any other questions? No, okay, thanks so much, everyone. I appreciate y'all joining. I'll send the recording out a little later today and let me know if y'all have any follow-up questions.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right.